We all know the common saying that old habits die hard. What if these habits were good habits? What if we were stuck with such habits and they were moving our lives towards the direction we needed our lives to head? In this episode today, we'll be talking about 5 rules for breaking and making habits. Now, we talked about goal setting last week, talked about elevating your parenting game, talked about the goals you should set to make 2024 a remarkable year. We talked about briefly about systems, and it dawned on me that a lot of us do not vie away from our goals because we are indisciplined, because we are lazy, or because they are not important. It is because we are by default programmed a certain way. It is because we have lived most of our lives in the environment, in a certain environment. You remember the nature nurture debate, right? We have lived in this environment, or lived amongst people who have conditioned or programmed us in a certain way that have made achieving our goals near impossible. I'm not trying to be the good cop here. I'm not trying to sit on a moral high horse and say and point accusatory fingers and say, you, why are you doing this? You, why are you doing that? I deliberately delete the Instagram app, for instance, just because I do not trust my willpower enough to sustain me when I go in there to look for something. So as soon as I'm done, I delete it because I don't want to unconsciously tap on the app and then get lost in the endless, mindless scroll on the explore feed. Why will I have to do that if I had that much discipline myself? It is because I know what my problem is and I do not want to be the weapon fashioned against my own self. Like our mantra for the year is I know hungry for my own self, you know. So why is it what are habits in the first place? Habits, I don't want to go into all the science behind it, the basal ganglia and all the medical or scientific jargon, so we will not confuse ourselves. Habits are those patterns of behavior that we have done over and over again that have now become an unconscious part of us. You see, habits are not necessarily meant to be bad in themselves, because if we have to make a decision, like decisions in real time every single time we need to get things done, you see, to be very chaotic, because the average adult makes thousands of decisions every day, you know. So imagine you had to decide what to eat or cook every day. Oh my god, there's nothing I hate more than what will I cook today, or what to wear, or places to go to. That's why menus are okay, right? That's why you have a plan, right? That's why you have goals, right? So you have to be thinking every single time what you should be wearing, where you should be going, what you should be eating, or what you should be doing. Imagine if you had to be present, mentally processing where you're going to, maybe when you're driving. Habits are meant to really help us. But what now makes them good or bad is if they are bad habits or good habits in themselves. Now, a lot of us live by faulty programmings, not knowing that we are unconsciously, we have moved from a place of unconscious incompetence. We have now graduated to conscious incompetence, and now we have in fact elevated our games to the point that we are now unconsciously very competent at doing the very wrong things. Things like yelling at our children. I love my son so much, but I still see myself yelling even when I see when I promised him and myself that I will not do so anymore. I love my wife or my husband so much, but I find myself cheating on them even when I have said I won't do that anymore. While we are quick to say God forbid, I hope you remember that it is not a parenting strategy. While we're quick to say ward it off and defend it, I hope you realize that having lived in that environment where these things were normal to you, have now made these habits unconscious competence for you. If habits were meant to make your life better, if habits were meant to save you time in making decisions and to help you with your executive functioning skills, why are they now bad things? Why are they now the things limiting you from achieving your goals? Because you have not done something about breaking them. The unfortunate thing is that you can't really forget a habit. The brain is such a magnificent efficient machine that and then the body too remembers it keeps these files. One word, one song, a fragrance can trigger memories that you wished never came up, but then they come up, and then because you've not dealt with them, because you've not consciously learned unlearned a lot of things and learned skills to replace them, because you've not replaced them with better options, you find yourself in a loop. You know how a loop works. Have you seen movies where probably it has happened in Money Heist? Have you seen Money Heist or Berlin? They go to steal the record, a feed from the CCTV camera, and they start playing the loop. It feels like it's happening in real time, but keeps going and going and going. That is how some of us now live our lives. That is how some of us are raising our children. There's no novelty, there's no enthusiasm. We just wake up in the morning and, of course, clockwork. We go to brush our teeth, put on our clothes, we head out, and there's really no plan. There's no there's no excitement, there's no zest in parenting, in being ourselves at all. I hope this episode is going to help you today in breaking some habits, and especially in replacing them, in making new ones, because it's not just enough to say I am breaking this. Even the Bible says, if you sweep a house and you do not if you leave it empty, whatever left it will come back 7 times stronger, right? So it's not just enough to say I'm breaking this habit. What are you going to do to replace it? What new habit are you going to put in its place? I don't want to yell anymore. What will you do? On the flip side, I want to be more connected with my children. I want to have a relationship with them. I want to be able to connect with them. I want my voice in their head to be a positive one. Okay, something happened in my home this morning that left me sober for a long time. It made me realize that a lot of things we spend so much energy doing can be achieved if we spend that much time building systems, if we spend that much time forging connections. My daughters had a misunderstanding and I made a mistake, right? I became a cop. I sung into action, passed judgment, and it turned out that the person will come meet police. Not even get wahala. She was crying. It turned out that she was even the offendant. She was the one that was making trouble in the first place. And I told them, remember, I've said this several times. I won't do this. I've taught you people conflict resolution skills. I've taught you people to negotiate. Never ever ever come to me with your issues again, because now I have gone to scold the wrong person for something she did not do, and you came crying to me even when you were the guilty party. I had forgotten all about it. And they apologized to each other, and I apologized to the older one for taking the stand I took in the first place. And then, as I was preparing for this session, my phone rings, and it's my daughter's teacher. What's going on? Are they okay? Yes, your children are okay, but auntie wants to talk to you. What's going on? And she said, I'm sorry I lied to you. And then she explained that she wanted what she wanted. She didn't know how to communicate it, and she felt like, okay, saying that she got it first will make her win the case. And then of course, it was a key moment, right? I walked her through. I talked to her about it. Let's not do this again. Let's do this instead. Remember, discipline is about teaching, removing bad behavior and replacing it. And then the teacher goes, she has been crying since morning. I didn't have to spank her. I didn't have to yell at her. No, 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 no. I've not always been like this. I will never assume that moral high ground and say to you that yes, I knew what I was doing. I've always been like, no, 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 no. There's a point in my life where I was a yeller, where I used to spank them, where I was very impatient. But it got to a point where this is no longer served me. I had to start on learning. I had to relearn a lot of things, and I had to learn new things. So how are habits formed? I had talked to her about it, and I'm sure it will not happen again. I didn't have to hear, like I was saying, right? It dawned on me that if we do the right things, if we set the foundation right, a lot of things will just naturally work by themselves. I was happy because she she felt the guilt, right? she was conscientious enough to know that what she did was wrong and that she had to make amends. And I could feel the lightness in her voice when we're done talking, how our habits formed. Here we'll talk about the habit loop. We'll talk about your cues, the triggers. You feel like doing something, you feel like losing it. You're going towards hawk mode, and you're about to yell at your children. And then the reward, the routine is in yelling in itself. I feel like eating chocolate, maybe the cue. Eating chocolate in itself is the reward, the routine rather. And then the reward is how you feel. How did it make you feel? After yelling at your child, you felt like the lion of the tribe of Judah, right? You felt on top, you felt in control. You felt like, yes, my children, they know me very well. Oh. They cannot even try me. And you're bragging about it. They cannot even try me. Sorry, oh, they'll still do it again. Because after you have yelled at them, they have not learned anything from that experience. Trust me, I know. I've been there. All right. Misbehavior is I did not know better, and so I did A or B. Discipline is now that you have misbehaved, next time see what you should do better, or I'll guide you into thinking about better ways of doing the same thing. Habits are formed when you feel like doing something, you have the cue or the trigger, you actually do the thing, and then it makes you feel good. It is that feeling, the reward in itself, that makes you want to do it again. If I eat the chocolate after I get the craving or the cue, and it makes me feel like throwing up, I would never want to eat that particular brand or feel like eating chocolate again. If I feel like going out and I go to a certain restaurant and I have a worst service and I have the most awful meal ever, I will never want to go back there again. So it's the behavior that is rewarded that is repeated. So in this case, in your habit forming, it is the habit that you reward, it is the cue or the trigger that you reward that you feel like doing again. What if this habit was good, like I asked from the get go? What if it was nurturing your children? What if it was nourishing the relationship you have with them? What if it was spending time with them more often? Would it still be, would it be something we should be bothered about, especially this year? Remember, no grief for yourself. Do not be the weapon formed against yourself. Now, how can you break bad habits? Number one, identify your triggers. What makes you want to yell or scream at those kids? What makes you want to go back to smoking when you know it's detrimental to your health? What makes you want to spank that child? What is triggering that feeling? What is making you maybe very, very anxious? What's making you so irritated that you cannot be patient enough to hear the little child out? Remember, it's not parenting is first about you. You are the parent who is parenting, right? It's irrespective of, regardless, despite your children's behavior. You should respond to their behavior, not react. They have done something wrong. If you are in the right frame of mind, if you're not getting triggered by anything, by maybe stress, or by the way your colleague talks to you, or by feeling out of control, disrespected, not regarded from when you were a child, you will not feel attacked by this behavior and get impatient with it and then lash out at the child. So you see, when we say that old habits die hard, we actually mean it. So it means that if this is the way your parents responded to you as a child, you are carrying on in that behavior because you have not paused to identify the behavior, you have not healed from the trauma, you've not processed the feeling, and then you see yourself acting like your drunk father that you have vowed never to behave like. It is not just enough to say, I will not do this again. What measures are you taking? What skills are you acquiring? What are you learning? What education are you acquiring now to make you a better person than that parent you loathed for most of your life for the way they behaved? To identify your triggers, you need to self-reflect. Analyze your routine. You need to analyze your routine. What happened before you lost it? What led you up until that moment that you could not take it anymore? You see, when you are getting angry, it's not like you start, like you get to the crescendo, like you get to the height of it, the zenith or peak of it immediately. It builds up. You're losing it on number one, you go to number two, from number two to three, and then all of a sudden you don't dey tear shirt. What happened? What led to that point? Has it happened before? What did it remind you of? Now, if you self-analyze, if you self-reflect, if you if you take note of what how you were feeling in that moment, you are aware of your stressors, you'll be able to identify and reverse engineer, so that next time when you are in that position, you will know not to react. You will learn how to be more put together. You have to be environmentally aware to be able to identify your triggers. What in that environment is making you feel a certain way? Imagine you're just coming back from work. Your boss had yelled at you for not studying in a project on time. Your colleagues were basically laughing at you. You had a very terrible night previously. There was no light. Your fans were not working. You were really cranky. Probably you did not even sleep enough. And then you come back from school. Your little child is very, very irritable. You know how these toddlers can be sleepy and hungry and tired, but they still want to be awake. Guy, close your eyes and sleep now. Why are you shouting? What's stressing you from sleeping? The thing pisses me off. I know, I am very, very sure it's not just me. It's obvious. See, sometimes they're even dozing off. You see them nodding, and then they'll snap out of the sleep and start screaming. That thing gets to me. So in that instance, you forget that this child is just maybe two or three, and then backhand. Why you don't slap and sing before you now get yourself back, and it is too late. The child starts to cry even more. Identify your you might have to be environmentally aware. Take cognizance of what led you to that place. Sometimes when you come back from work, it's not the best time to maybe want to connect with them. You could go and take a warm or cold bath, whichever one works for you. Take a big, very big cup of milkshake or something that calms your nerves or soothes you, and then come out or probably nap for a while. I know some people who stay in their rooms for like 30 minutes, the AC is on, the room is chilly, and then they can now come out and say, hey children, how was your day? Don't rush it. You must identify your stressors. You must be environmentally aware. And the third one is social influences. Aha. Show me your friends and I'll tell you what whom you are. You are following that Sister Chiamaka. See, they know me for this office, so I they talk my mind. I know they take nonsense at all. If you give me bass, you will get it both. It shows it's not showing that you're audacious or assertive. It just shows that, sorry, you are emotionally unintelligent. Because haba, if your emotions are driving you that much, it means that you have not calibrated enough, you've not mastered or matured enough to know that there are some things that are better left unsaid. We used to, okay, I'll paraphrase this proverb: the way your balls scratch you is not the way you scratch them. If not, you'll hurt yourself. It's not everything you say as you're feeling it. What happens to self-control? What happens to calming down? Chamaka, be calming down. And then you are with that person every day in the office. She's your lieutenant, she's your trusted confidant, and you expect not to carry that energy home. See, when you become a parent, because you start to edit your life, like there has to be a 360-degree overhaul. You don't have the liberty to hang around just anybody anymore. For Pete's sake, you are a co-creator with God. You are shaping destinies here. You're molding lives here. You do not have the liberty to vibe with that person just because she's the reigning girl, the happening person in the office. If you cannot beat them, I tell my kids, don't join them, run away. Even the Bible says it is better to live in the jungle than for you to stay under the same roof with a contentious, well, in that case, wife, but it could be a colleague, it could be a friend. That friend that is so quick to tell people their minds, that friend that is not patient enough to understand that maturity sometimes will mean keeping quiet, even if what is going on in your mind is to slap that person. Like, you actually can. PK said, when you know you have matured in power, you sorry, you know you have matured in power when you are holding the balls of someone in your hands and you have the power to squeeze those balls, but you let them go. That's when you know you are actually a matured, powerful person. You see, some people are so quick to lock up people. Yes, if you they know me, oh, I know they take nonsense. If you misbehave, you go sleep prison. Hello. Meaning if now you be God or more. Some people forget I they not get nose. Some they get nose, not go get ears. You know, we act like we act like demigods because we just have small money. Have you seen that empty? Have you seen that people that actually do not have that much are the loudest? Empty vessels actually make the loudest noise, right? People wey get money no dey talk. Big dogs don't bark. Because you have been privileged to touch small money. You now be raving like a lion, and then everybody is shaking around you. Read the room, bruh. Read the room. That they are afraid of you does not mean that you're powerful, and then you carry the energy home. Uh, you see, when you have the tendency to behave a certain way, you should not be around people that are behaving that way. When you know that you have coin, naturally you are wired, your predisposition is to first be an agbero. You will now be best friends with an agbero. What do you expect? A volcanic eruption. So because of your children, because of their children's children, because it is now a part of your legacy to end some things and begin new ones, to kill some cultures and start new traditions, I'm sorry, you have to be careful of your social influences. You're always listening to rants and banters. You're always on social media pages where trash is said about people. I really do not feel comfortable reading some of these blog posts because, hey, why am I not seeing your face? If you are bold enough, you're courageous enough, come and show your face behind the camera. Put your name on that post. Some of these things they say in public are things that have been said to them privately. Some of these things they say in public, if somebody was to write their own story or more, we're not going to read and finish this year. Christ said, let he who is without sin be the first to cast the stone. And after immersing yourself in such content, you expect to parent from a place of sanity. I'm sorry, when you became a parent, you lost the right to view just any content. I'm sorry, when you became a parent, you lost the privilege to enjoy some things because they are not impacting in you what your children or their children's children we need to thrive excellently. See, what you do not understand that the battle we fight is not in our bedrooms alone. It's not in our constituencies alone. We are fighting a global war. Like I always am quick to ask, are your children going to compete? No, sorry, dominate on global platforms? If you knew that your child will compete with a child in China that is spending hours behind the system using 8G network, you will not be reading nonsense online. What are your social influences? They are actually forming a neural pathway in your mind. Of course, one day, all those things where you dey learn, monkey go market, e no go return. To break old habits, you have to ask yourself, why are you desiring this behavior? Why this thing they hungry you? Sometimes you just feel like, have you noticed, or is it just me? I'm watching a movie, the movie is just going, I'm feeling it. All of a sudden, the person in the movie is eating burger. Okay, 1 hour later, I finish watching this movie from nowhere. Burger way that my generation has not even had before is now hungering me. Where is it coming from? Where is it coming from? I've been exposed to something. Sarah Jakes Roberts calls it a portal. Some relationships we do not know are portals. Some people we meet, we do not know that they are portals that are opening up to us to a new reality. Watch some movies and we do not know that they are portals that are opening us to new habits. Why am I desiring this thing? All of a sudden, it's doing me like I should shout. It's doing me as if I should not like give my child a knock that will sink the child into the earth. Why am I feeling like doing these things? Could it be that it was done to me? Broken people break people. Is it because I just saw somebody doing it in the movie? I was listening to Mrs. BC Akintayo this morning, and she said she was watching a Nigerian movie, and in the movie, okay, a certain couple was not doing well, and the in-laws, the woman's in-laws were insinuating that she came to the family with two left legs, and then in Yoruba culture, that means that she brought in bad luck. And because in that moment, her marriage was not doing well with Dr. Stephen Akintayo, she turned to him and said, Abi, did I come to this house with two bad legs? Two left legs, rather. Am I the weapon that is fashioned against us? Am I the reason why our businesses are not working and the marriages were not financially free or settled? And he rebuked her in that moment. You will never watch Nigerian movies in this house again, he told her. Never, ever, ever. Because of what you have exposed your mind to, see what you are thinking. He started reaffirming her, telling her she was amazing, telling her she was a blessing, that it was just the season, that things will be okay. Why was she talking that way? Because she was exposed to a certain content. A portal had been opened that was making her question herself, her self-esteem, and her self-worth. That was making her question her value. That changed or affected or influenced her perception of herself. Why are you desiring this thing or this behavior? If you can find out why, you may be able to backtrack, and then it will help you to break that habit. The next one is use the OAES framework. This can be ascribed to James Clear. Oh my God, you know how someone is like his name, as clear in his thoughts as his name, Claire. O is obvious, A is attractive, E is easy, and S is satisfying. You want to create a good habit or make a good habit, make it obvious. I want to start working out. I've set a goal to lose weight. My target goal is 500 kg. Yet everything in my fridge, everything around me is directly fighting against that goal. If I wanted to break the habit, what would I do? If I wanted to break the habit of waking up in the night to munch on something or eat, what will I do? I'll remove all the unhealthy treats and put healthier alternatives. If I must snack, I will clear my fridge out and replace the burger with healthier options, maybe carrots, cucumbers, healthy salads, smoked chicken, roasted turkey, maybe a bowl of fried eggs. I'll make the habit or the routine that will help me get the reward I'm looking for. I'll make it obvious. I'll make it very attractive. If I do not like cucumbers, what will I do to make it more attractive, to make me want to eat it? Instead of just carrying a whole chunk of it and shoving in my mouth, I could make it maybe cut it into spiral shapes. I could make it maybe cut make it spiky and then add some other things to it to make it a very beautiful bowl. I could go online and learn how to plate better or what else to make. I have this, I don't know, this weird thing about my daughter. She doesn't like strawberries, but she likes what you make the strawberries. I still do not get it. Even now, I still cannot get it. In fact, tomorrow I will not still get it. Why will you not like chicken, but you will like what I make with chicken? I don't know. I don't know. So, in that case, if you do not like cucumbers, how can you hide it inside something that you love? You could blend it in your smoothie, in your milkshake, just add small and then add some Greek yogurt and other things, and you are taking in something healthy without even maybe noticing or seeing it. Make it very attractive. Next one is make it easy. This you want to work out, but your clothes are far away, your shoes are even dirty. How do you make this habit if every time you need to get the action done, the routine done, it takes you an hour? You want to learn to read or you want to learn to write, and you want to start writing 700 words or pages at once. I want to write. I want to become a writer. And then the first thing I want to do is write a novel that is 300 pages. Benny, please calm down. Take a breather and then begin from somewhere. First, assume the identity of someone who writes. Start with 2 lines, become consistent in it. Make it take, like, you can maybe start with the 2 minutes, do it for 2 minutes every day. I learned about the story of someone who wanted to work out, but his instructor told him he could only come for the first 8 weeks. He should come to the gym and spend only 5 minutes. Dress up, come, look around, spend 5 minutes, go for 8 entire weeks. What this did for him was it helped him build the habit of showing up in the first place, helped him assume the identity of someone who goes to the gym. And then every time he went back to the gym, he was casting a vote for the person he wanted to become. So, how will you make that habit easy? Final one is make it satisfying. If you are eating that bowl of salad and it feels like you are eating puke, you won't want to repeat that habit again. If you are working out and it doesn't feel like fun, you see, sometimes I particularly do not enjoy joint classes at the gym, because if I generally join classes because everything goes for everyone, I prefer personalized classes because I'm able to factor in my learning needs, my learning styles, my temperament, my attention span. I'm able to tweak the dynamics to fit me as an individual. So, how do you make it satisfying for yourself? Sometimes you may like the regimen, you may like the routine, but you do not like the song. You may like that particular exercise, but you may not like the length of it. How do you make it satisfying so that it will be, it will be something you look forward to doing every time? If you maybe make it a time, your workout time, a time where you listen to one of your favorite podcasts, see, we'll get to that. You are stacking these habits to the one you already have, and then you'll be more inclined to do because it's now satisfying. It's now making you feel good. And then if you put a good enough reason, I want to work out so that I can be fit, so that I can play with my children, so that I can, if being fit will help extend my lifespan, the length of years I want to spend here on earth, why not? You see, I've put in a bigger reason that I want to be hot, I want to be a certain weight point, which are not bad in themselves. You've now put a bigger why that will make you push no matter what, so that even when you get to your desired weight, that goal, you won't stop there. Some people get to that weight, and then they stop working out entirely, and now becomes a lifestyle instead of a goal to be achieved or a milestone to be gotten. Next one is habit stacking. I love to read, I want to journal, and I want to take my supplements at night. How do I stack these things to make them a routine? I already love to read in the night before going to bed. Okay, can I now start the habit? Before I go to bed, I'll get a glass of water, I would take my supplements. Probably I'll pop in 1 tablet of effervescent vitamin C to make it sweet and bubbly, so that it will, and okay, to make it to be attractive to me. And how will I make this easy? I'll make sure that there is a bottle of water on my table before it's time for bed. I'll make sure that my book is close to my pillow. You see, I'm stacking these little things that will make the process a seamless one, that will make it easy for me to do. And then by the time I do this, 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights, 10, 50, 20, 50, 100, it now becomes a part of me. It now goes from a place of unconscious incompetence to conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. Now, let me quickly add here that when you get to unconscious competence, mistakes are inevitable because you no longer think about it. You now start, you are prone to making a few mistakes here and there. So even when you have learned this habit, always go back and self-reflect. It's like driving through. For me, I prefer to drive on the same side of the road every single time. Now, on this said day, probably there was a tree that fell in the night. Because it is now unconscious competence, I assume that um everything are still, all the modalities are still the same, right? And then I start driving, and all of a sudden, because I'm not thinking about it anymore, because it's now unconscious competence for me, I hit the tree because I was not watching, because I was not thinking. Like you're brushing your teeth. When you're brushing your teeth, you don't even know how that happens anymore. That's how it is with some of us when you're scrolling through social media. You don't know where all the time goes. So sometimes when you are unconsciously competent at something, you are prone to error. So self-reflection, maybe every 3 months, maybe for some people every 90 days, look through your habits and then find out where you need to build upon and all. The final one, be intentional and deliberate. Be intentional and deliberate. Don't trust on your willpower. See, I don't check and see say man, if you leave me, explore feed is sweet. Ah, you just be seeing fine, fine things from one place. You click, you go to another. Before you know it, you see Enioluwa eating, and then all those sweet things you used to say when he's eating. Before you know it, you go to his Kiki. Kiki is saying things and she's vibing. Before you know it, you now see Mercy Chinwo dancing. Before you know it, you see Moses Bliss dragging single girls. Before you know it, you see his engagement video. By the time you are done, 1 minute, 1 minute, two, three, 4 hours, Lorie is still on Instagram. I cannot trust myself. And because I do not want to be the weapon formed against myself, I don't grade myself. And I go on Instagram, I try, God, please lead me not into this explore feed. Even if I did there, I set a timer. Once 20 minutes, which no vex, Instagram will lock me out. Mm, Instagram will lock me out. Sometimes you go there and you forget why you came in the first place. And hours later, you come back to yourself and you're like, why did I even go on Instagram at all? So, apart from setting a timer, as soon as I'm done with all the transactions, okay, I want to connect with this person. The quickest place to find them is on Instagram. I want to buy something. I've checked the local markets and I cannot find them. Okay, let me check for a vendor in Lagos or Owerri or Enugu. And once I am done like this, I'll just press delete and remove the app from my phone. I cannot trust my willpower to help me stay focused. It may be anything for you. It may be that you would hide. Sometimes when it's time to play with my children, I tell them, please go and keep my phone somewhere. If I'm not seeing it, if it is not obvious, I will not crave it. If it is not obvious, I will not crave it. Remember, we said to build a habit, make it obvious, OAES, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy and satisfying. To break any habit at all, you you can now reverse that. Make it not obvious, make it unattractive, make it very difficult, and make sure it is not satisfying. I remember one time when I was very, very addicted to eating cheese balls. Oh my god, cheese balls was cheese balls, like the brand was amazing for me. So I know that if I eat, like when if I eat, you know the law of diminishing returns, right? When you eat the first pack, it is very, very sweet. You eat the second one, okay, you still can take it. From the third one, you start losing interest. But for me to break the habit of eating that particular thing, I will keep eating it till, oh my god, I get tired, literally tired of it. And that's how I was able to break that habit. Make it not satisfying, and then you stop it. Make it not satisfying. Make it very difficult. You know that if you have money like this, the next is to go to club. You will not pay your children's school fees. What do? You quickly, probably the place is standing order in your account. As soon as the money comes in, your children's school fees get the credit, you get credited, and then you see that when you don't have money, where will you go? When you come back, you give your wife your car keys and say, even if the world is ending, don't give me these keys to drive out. How will you get to the club? You see, you you cannot trust your willpower to get a lot of things done. Making or breaking habits in this year is one of them. Be in the community, in the company of people that are headed your way. I cannot be going to Kafanchan now and go to Lagos Park. I cannot be going to Los Angeles and then I'll be going hanging around people that are going to Dubai, for instance. Find people who share your dreams and aspirations, who have the same energy levels as you do, and by all means be equally yoked with believers. That does not refer to religion, like a lot of us are quick to word it off as. I feel like it is our belief systems, what we believe in. It is our culture, our tradition. If you are a driven person, and you are going to pitch a tent with someone who is very laid back and laissez faire and nonchalant, doesn't have any zeal or zest to be or do or become, you see, you are actually setting yourself up for failure. Iron, they say, sharpen iron, right? Can two work together unless they agree? There has to be an agreement of your energy levels, agreement in resources. So make sure that you are in a community of people who are heavily invested in becoming better themselves. If that woman you're following is always complaining about her husband, is always complaining, nagging about her children, is always saying all the things that are wrong about her marriage, by now you should know that you don't have any business around that person. Let the dead bury themselves. So sad so. The dad in this case could be, I cannot help you. I have tried to help. I cannot help you, sir. I've tried to talk and talk and talk. It's not working. Please go and see a therapist. Please go and see a professional. You see, sometimes in trying to save people, you will drown your own self. You have to be very strong before you can save someone who is drowning. I remember Pastor I remember Pastor Lazarus told a story of a guy who was drowning and somebody went in to save him. Guess what? It took four people to come and save the saver. I mean, the savior from saving the person who was drowning. The person held him so tightly that the two of them were now drowning. Four people had to dive in to help them. You that knows that you need help, you say you want to go and convert this person. Have you finished converting yourself? You don't know that you are very unserious. You will now go and be with another unserious person. Good luck. Congratulations. I would have left you by yourself, but like I've said over and over again, this life is no longer just about you. You now have a child or two or three or four or more that you are responsible for, and your actions and choices and privileges and rights have drastically changed. I find a bonus one would be focus on getting better 1% every day. You see, we have mentors, right? We have people we look up to, we have people we aspire to become like, or sometimes even tempted to become. uh that we do not want to go through the ranks anymore. We just want to be overnight wonders. We don't want to go through every rung on the ladder. We find ourselves trying to beat the gun or jump or cut corners. At the end of the day, we are not learning or getting developed in character, because a lot of the challenges we face actually prepare us for where we are going. And like the OG has said in the Wheel of Time, he said he wonders about men because they are not always so much in a hurry that they do not prepare for where they are going to. So please be prepared for where you're going to. Be prepared for your goals in 2024. And that's how you're going to make this year a very remarkable year. Focus on growing, getting better 1% every single time. Focus on your path, your competition, your benchmark, your standard of measure should be the person, the parent you were yesterday. Not me, because I've spent so many years developing my character as a person and building upon my skills as a parent. I should only inspire you, never aspire to be like me, because you do not know the privileges that I have that make my life easier. You do not know what I leverage to make my path a lot, my burden a lot lighter, my path clearer. You do not know what happens behind my scenes. So if you do not know everything going on behind my scenes, then you'll be setting yourself up for failure if you want to be exactly like me. Your children are genetically wired differently than mine are. You are married to a different spouse than I am. Your why, what drives me, is not what drives you. What I'm passionate about, the future that I please in my head every time, is not what is you've been called to build yourself. Why some people may consume content for just raise their children, I am also finding the light so that I can come share with you too. So the level of interest we pour into learning will be very, very different. All right. I may be learning to teach. You are just learning to do. I'm learning to do and to teach too. Okay. So we are here to inspire you, not for you to become like us in any way. And remember that in getting better 1% at a time, the law of compound effect, we're certain you will get better and it will compound exponentially over time. I don't know how to break down that math for you. I've never liked math. I just use math because I have to. I hope this has brought you a lot of value. If it has, do not keep us as your best kept secret. We will grow only when you talk about us, when you share us, when you share the podcast with your friends and loved ones, with that person you see that is obviously struggling. Instead of judging that parent, help them. Instead of being nosy and doing at them, ask yourself, how can I help? That is how we would change how parenting is done, one conversation at a time. Be the light bearer, the truth bringer, the peace holder, and let us together change the parenting game for each other. Thank you so much for spending time with us. For every single second you spend with us on this channel, we are grateful for the gift of you. We are proud that we are happy that we can be here to share our 2 cents on whatever it is we learn on our journey. Until we see you again on our next video, stay excellent.